everybody, this is Rhonda and welcome back to Rhonda Gets Fit. Today I'm going to be starting a new series. Every 3 or 4 months I'm going to be doing kind of a little look at certain supplements, and today I'm going to be talking about creatine. And I started with creatine because basically it is one of the most researched supplements for the fitness industry. Now, I can hear a few people out there going, isn't that steroid them bodybuilders use? No, creatine is not a steroid. Creatine is actually found in every single one of your muscle cells. It is found in muscle. So if you are a meat eater like I am, give me a steak any day of the week. I will be your friend. I am ingesting a certain amount of creatine. Now, what does creatine do in the body? Creatine helps. I've got notes here, so if I'm looking down, it's because I'm reading my notes. I took about 4 pages worth of notes from different studies that I was reading. Creatine helps in the recycling of ATP. Now, ATP, I'm not going to get into the whole scientific spiel. ATP basically is what your muscle and your brain cells kind of use for energy inside of their cells. What creatine does, it helps the body kind of like recycle it. It recycles this ATP so you can use it over and over and over and over again before your muscles get fatigued. And so the more ATP you have, the more potential energy you have for your muscles and your brain. Now, what does this mean for people in fitness? Well, thousands of studies. Creatine has been studied for decades and thousands of times. Creatine has been proven to show that it helps improve muscle strength, muscle size, the amount of power one can generate from a muscle, and its ability to resist and recover from fatigue. Well, for people who lift weights, power lifters, bodybuilders, CrossFitters, that basically means your muscles are going to grow. You're going to have more power. You're going to have the ability to lift heavier weights or lift weights for longer periods of time, which will help your muscles grow. Okay, great. That sounds wonderful. Like if you're like me and you love lifting weights, it means you're going to have bigger muscles. But your endurance people out there, don't be thinking that creatine is not for you, because it is. I mean, if you're out there running marathons, or you're a spinner and you can happily take a spin class for an hour, or you row, or whatever you do, don't be thinking that creatine is not for you, because it says here also that it helps endurance athletes store more glycogen in your body for use at a later time. That again means more energy for your cells to use for a longer period of time. It also is shown to help reduce inflammation in the body caused by long training sessions. So it could actually help reduce a little bit of post-workout swelling in your muscles and make it able to recover faster. And again, it's the resisting and recovering from muscle fatigue. And don't your muscles get fatigued if you're out there running 26 miles? I think mine would get tired after running 0.26 miles. So what does this all mean for your fitness? Well, your ability to perform more work and for longer periods of time and recover faster from more work and longer periods of time. Sounds pretty good to me. So just that in and of itself would make me get my creatine out, because I've got a tub, and start taking it on a daily basis. But creatine is so much more than just for fitness. It's good for the brain as well. Now, about 2 years ago, about this time of year, well, it was in December, about 2 years ago, I was driving back from work. It was about 10 o'clock at night. It was about 31 degrees, and it was drizzling. Now, simple math will tell you that here in America, 31 degrees equals stuff is freezing on the road. So I'm driving about 30 miles an hour, and my normal 30-minute drive home from work was taking about an hour. And I love listening to doctor radio because I'm a geek. And I actually learn stuff that I can use while I'm at work at the hospital. You know, I learn about new medications. I learn about new techniques. It's just fascinating. Anyway, they were talking to a researcher who was researching creatine's effect on depression. Who here wouldn't want their depression to be better? I don't really suffer from depression. I get a little bit down. I get the winter blues a lot. But for people who have major depression, research is showing that those who have major depression respond quicker, like as much as twice as fast to any antidepressants that they're taking. And they have twice as long and twice as many remissions, total recoveries from their depression as those who are not taking creatine. That sounds pretty good to me. And this is on as little as 5 grams a day. 5 grams a day, and that's like a very small dose. That's like the borderline Barus minimus dose. Barus minimus. Sounds like something Wile E. Coyote would say. Bare minimum dose of creatine. And literally that's like pennies a day, because the creatine that I'm taking right now, or that I have in my house and kind of take once in a while, is 80 servings for like $9. Pennies a day. Now, however, there is one caveat. If you have major bipolar syndrome and you lean more into having more manic episodes, they're doing some research that taking creatine could flip you more into mania. So if you're a bipolar person, you may want to do a lot more research on your own before you just go starting to take creatine willy-nilly. Now, okay, I might want to take some of this for fitness. I don't have depression. I don't need to worry about that. But how would you like to take also something that might help you resist aging just a little bit? I work with a lot of elderly people, and a lot of times, well, if it's going to help your muscles, it's going to help the muscles of an elderly person while maybe they're doing physical therapy, you know, after they've fallen and broken their hip, or they've had the flu and they've been sick for 10 days and now they need some physical therapy to build themselves back up so they can walk across their own living room. Creatine's going to help them with their muscle recovery. Some studies are also showing that it could be beneficial to those who have Parkinson's syndrome. That they are showing that creatine is enhancing the survival of brain neurons that produce dopamine. Parkinson's is where your brain is not producing or has the ability to use dopamine quite well. In fact, one of the major drugs for Parkinson's is levodopa, which is like a synthetic form of dopamine in general terms. So if you could get creatine to help keep your own neurons making the dopamine, it could keep your tremors maybe a little bit better. And if nothing else, it will help your muscles recover faster from just trying to walk across the living room while you're having tremors. It's also showing a lot of major promise with people with either just age-related cognition issues or Alzheimer's and dementia. They did a study. Now, they were taking fairly larger doses, up to 20 grams a day, that the brain was using a lot more oxygen doing cognition tests. You know, they're asking questions and they have to answer, say blue, sock, and bed. And then you wait 3 or 4 minutes and ask them, what were those 3 words that I said? And they were using a lot more oxygen in their brains, and they were also had a better ability to recall things. Makes sense if your brain is one of the major players using ATP, and creatine helps you recycle ATP for more use. It would mean that there's more ATP for your brain to use. Now this one It still needs a lot more studies, but it's a little bit of promise for people who suffer strokes. Now, it's only done mouse studies. They haven't really started instituting human trials yet. But in mice studies with ischemic strokes are strokes that are caused by lack of blood flow to the brain. It's kind of like a brain attack. When you have a heart attack, you have a clot that clogs up and you don't get blood flow to a certain area of the heart. An ischemic stroke is you kind of have a clot that clogs up and you don't get any blood to a certain area of the brain. In mouse studies, mice that were taking creatine prior to and then after your stroke showed more blood flow to that brain and a reduction of the area of the brain that was traumatized and is no longer able to function after the stroke. Well, if this holds true to the same thing in people, that might mean a better recovery from a stroke. It might mean enhanced ability to walk, talk, feed yourself, take care of yourself, dress yourself, move your arm, move your leg. Now again, probably 3 or 4 years down the road, but it shows promise that it might help your brain recover better from a stroke. What's probably the most important muscle that your body has? The heart. Because without it, you're dead. Now, congestive heart failure. I see it a lot at the hospital. It's basically where the heart muscle is not pumping effectively anymore. And so therefore, a lot of people, it starts getting a little bit bigger because, if it's not working, it's going to get bigger to make more muscles so it can try to pump, that blood through the heart. Well, again, in a larger doses, 20 grams a day, congestive heart failure patients had a 21% better result on an exercise bike test after they were taking it for a few weeks than they did before. 21% better. 21%. That would be if this holds true and you could get maybe even a 15 to 20% improvement in how your heart is functioning, that would mean a big difference for a lot of people. Again, there needs to be a lot more studies, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Blood sugar issues. Now, it's already been shown in previous studies that it helps lower your blood sugars in healthy people. Now, I don't know what moron decided they didn't need to try to see if it was going to help lower blood sugars in people who were diabetic. Because that would have been my first thought. Hey, it helps lower blood sugars in healthy people. Let's see if it can help lower some blood sugars in diabetic people. Or even type 2 diabetic people, who maybe just need a little bit of help. Well, they're actually starting to do some more research on it. Now, they did a study with sedentary, meaning they're not like out there working out, and because people who work out obviously have better blood sugar control, but sedentary but otherwise healthy men, and they gave them 10 grams a day and they had much better blood sugar levels. Now that sounds pretty good because now we all talk about how much the cost of insulin's going up, but things like metformin, all those oral medications that can help lower your blood sugars, they're all going up too. Creatine isn't. 80 servings, $9. Yeah. Now, creatine sounds like a wonder drug. Let's take it. There are some side effects because everything has side effects. Water has side effects. Being outside in the sunshine has side effects. Everything has a side effect. Here are some of the side effects. Water retention. Creatine when creatine gets in the muscle, it pulls water in. So if you are a slave to the scale and going up a pound or two will flip you out, don't take it. Because when you're taking creatine on a regular basis, you're going to have some water retention. And ladies, I'm not talking about the puffy ankles we all get that time of the month. I'm talking it's internal, inside your muscles. It's not like just under your skin because you ate too many pretzels the day before, or you're eating too many Pringles or whatever. It's inside your muscle. It's for your muscle to use. Some people, especially those with some sensitive stomachs or with some known stomach issues, can have some diarrhea. Most of these occur when they're taking 15 to 20 grams a day, the larger doses. Some people do eventually, they kind of back it down and the diarrhea goes away. Some people, they never get over it. I've only known like one person who tried trouble. They backed it down to 5 grams a day and they were fine. Dehydration, because it is pulling the water into your muscles. So if you're not drinking enough water, you're going to get a little dehydrated. And there's been reports of people getting kidney stones because of the dehydration, because they're not drinking enough water. If you do choose to take creatine, drink extra water with it. That's all you need to do. Now, who shouldn't take creatine? Well, brittle diabetics. If you're already having trouble keeping your blood sugars elevated, or you're a diabetic who is super high, super low, super high, super low, don't take it, because this has already been shown that it can lower blood sugar levels. And if you have trouble with low blood sugars, you don't need to be going any lower. Please don't take it. If you have hypoglycemia, I know some people out there have low blood sugars, don't take it. This could lower your blood sugars even more. You already have a problem with it. You don't need to take it. People with kidney disease. Creatine is filtered through the kidneys. If you have known kidney disease, it's best to avoid taking creatine. Don't stress and strain your kidneys any more than they already are. Pregnant and nursing mothers. Basically, there's not been a lot of studies done on pregnant and nursing mothers. And I wouldn't want to risk my baby. It's probably okay because, you do get creatine in meat, but it is absorbed differently because it is in the form of meat. You're not taking massive doses in another way. Just eat your meat. Don't worry about it. And people with known stomach issues. If you're someone who gets diarrhea because you look at a greasy plate of food, maybe you better not take it. If you have known stomach issues, probably like ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, something like that, I would avoid taking creatine. So that is all about creatine. Having done the research, it took me 2 or 3 days on my days off to kind of gather up and look at the studies, read some research, although most of the research kind of went up and over my head because they're using very scientific, researchy terms, and I'm not Sheldon Cooper, I'm not Amy Farrah Fowler, so kind of went over my head. But I'm going to start taking my creatine again. I think with me getting back into heavy weightlifting, it's just going to make a world of difference in how I feel and how I recover, and maybe even help me get some more strength gains back. Again, do your own research. If you're interested in creatine, take a few minutes, do a little research. You can find a glut of information. Sorry. You can find a glut of information on it. It's one of the most researched supplements out there. So you should have no problem at all finding your own research, doing your own reading, and deciding for yourself. I will put a couple links to some creatines down below in the description box. This is not sponsored. I'm not getting any money for it. But if you're interested, I will put a couple links so you can look it up yourself. And with that, I am going to say, may the fitness be yours. Bye-bye.